Today we're going to make heofonhlāf, the bread of heaven. One of my favourite recipes, and a bread that celebrates everything that this time of year has to offer. Lammas, or Hlafmæssedæg, the day of the blessed bread. This, like all harvest traditions, are as much a part of who we are as any time within any season, and as one person recently described to me, the hinge on which the whole year turns. Let's take a moment and let this time of year fill us, for this is a time of the deep magics, where the air is filled with the fragrances of fruit, berries and ripening corn. The straw and hay are drying in the fields, taking advantage of those long meandering shadows that are such a part of this time of year. Hedgerow is filled with abundance. You can't go past one without the laden brambles tempting you with their lush and perfumed berries. One drip of those blackberries on your tongue and you are transported back to your childhood. It's magic, the deepest and most special of magics. And let us not forget the significance of this time, what it represents and what it brings to us. It's a chance to fill the stores, to preserve the bounties that nature is putting before us. It's the time of the Hlāfweard, keeper of the bread, who graciously brings the heofonhlāf, or the bread of heaven. In times gone by, the old and cunning folk of the island would use the night to tell the stories of old and pick the king and queen of the harvest. They would reign through this time until the harvest moon, where they would give over to the meester of mischief, whose time of hijinks would last until Łaēodmōnaþ. Traditionally on the 7th of August, that's when the Jutes would say autumn would start, and they said that the first moon was the fox moon, the moon of the fox king, who looked down upon us all and made sure that we were protected from the shades of the past, who may haunt us as we pluck those berries and fruits from those unsuspecting plants. So in the words of the old English writers, I say, after the feast of St. James, after 7 nights of summer's brightness, month of the long grass slips into the dwellings everywhere. Łaēodmōnaþ brings to all people Hlāfmæssedæg. So the harvest comes after that night of nights, that number but one, bright, laden with fruits, plenty is revealed, beautiful on the earth. So they called August Łaēodmōnaþ, or the month of weeds, which is the literal translation, but what they meant was the month of long grass. When they say long grass, they mean the corn, or wheat as we call it now. And so, onto the recipe for heofonhlāf. 1½ cups of sourdough starter. 1½ cups of warm water. 4 tablespoons of honey. 2 cups of bread flour, mix well, but not too much. Cover with a cloth and put somewhere warm. Leave for an hour to start the magic. Once left for an hour or 2, depending on the warmth, let's add 1 more cup of bread flour, 3 cups of wholemeal flour, 6 tablespoons of melted butter or oil, 1 tablespoon of salt. Now this is where we're going to cheat a little. I'm going to mix it with a machine, but you can mix it by hand. Mix it and knead it. Now add 1 cup of dried fruit, 1 cup of chopped nuts. Use a dough hook or knead by hand until smooth and springy. It may need some manual kneading if you have used a hook. Yes, this seems right. See how it springs? Put it in a bowl, cover in a cloth, and leave to prove. I left mine for 2 to 3 hours. As you see, it hasn't grown much, but that doesn't matter. Roll out the dough onto a floured surface. Cut into 4. Roll out into 4 flat loaves, around 2 centimeters thick. Bake at 180 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. Maybe check after 30. And here you have the finished heofonhlāf, the loaf of heaven. Have a blessed Lammas.